everyone, welcome to Midnight Who blog. I'm the professor. As you can tell, this is another classic review without the watcher or the collector, so it's completely me today. So that's fun. Because today we have a little different classic review than we've ever done on this channel before, because today I'm calling this a trip down 3rd Doctor Lane, or Avenue, whatever I decide. Baker is my doctor. He always will be. I started with Robot. However, I did not get into the 3rd Doctor until these 3 stories. These were my first 3 stories. And I'm going to go through all 3 of these stories today on the Midnight Who blog. So let's kick it off with one of the very first stories I have ever watched. We're going to kick it off with me talking about the Carnival Monsters. Carnival Monsters is one of my very first John Pertwees, and it is kind of a very interesting story. Actually, really interesting, because you don't quite know what's happening, because you got the doctor on a ship. He doesn't think it's real. He doesn't really think it's real. He thinks they're not on Earth. He thinks something's going on. And of course, Joe, oh, no, we're on Earth. But then you also have the showman and his assistant on this kind of bleak planet with these bleak kind of, humanoid-like creatures. And that really brings up to a very interesting and complex story that I really do love. It just has a bit of interesting things, and then you start seeing the little hints that it is definitely not a real place because of the attacking the ship, and then of course the little hand that comes down and dates the towers. Come on, it's like interesting, especially the effects. Even as much as the 1970s, you can tell the effects were like interesting, like the Rutons from Horror of Fang Rock, where they look basically like they just had a head of cabbage and had little dangle effects on them. This at least didn't feel like that. And at least, the effects were at least enough where it doesn't make that story feel... It doesn't feel it. And I do like it because it's quite a complex story, and I do love the trashings. Those are awesome, even though those are awesome. I love the trashings. But the story is just awesome, interesting, because these showmen, to do their show, they have these miniaturized creatures, and I think it's a very interesting story, and it's very well worth your watching, because you will like it, I can bet you that. Because it's not the best John Pertwee, it's far from being the best. But it's a light, kind of hearted story that's quite entertaining at its core. Let's continue with the 3 Doctors. That started with my, watching him was, of course, the 3 Doctors, because, well, why not? It's the 3 Doctors. And this was a very interesting story again, because it's called The 3 Doctors, but of course William Hartnell's not in it that much due to his failing health, but at least they were able to get him in it. They at least were able to do some interesting plot, and they got him in it. And I'm glad they did, because I don't think the story would have been the same without just that little bit, because it's just his last appearance. The 3rd Doctor and the 2nd Doctor get along as pretty much like the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor, they're just... one's the more dandy as the 1st Doctor, and one's the more clown. I love how the Doctor has to explain it to Joe, how he has to explain, well, he is me, this man is me. And I like it, and I love all the faces on the unit soldiers when they meet him. And when they first meet him. I really do like that. Because, you're like, you're back kind of thing. And that was quite funny. Of course, the 2nd Doctor was lifted out of his time stream, so it was the 1st. But the big bad of this is, of course, Omega. And I really love Omega. Omega is a really awesome baddie. The costume design is amazing. It's nothing like the 80s, version of it, which I don't like. Because this one felt more real. You have the cloth, kind of, and the helmet when they took it off. They revealed he was no more. Really, really good story. Last story is, of course, The Time Warrior, which is Sarah Jane's first story, and this is a very funny story. I really do like it, and it's also the first Sontaran story. And I like it how, Sarah Jane is kind of posing, she's posing to be that, and to get in the unit, and then she travels with the Doctor, and of course the first place they go is, she shows the board, and where do they end up? In the past, in the Sontaran. I really do like that. And you can definitely tell these are the first inductions of the Sontarans, and you can see how they're menacing and how they're not afraid to destroy mankind in a weird way. And I really do like that. I like how he doesn't really know that Sarah Jane's on as stowaway and now is in this, so that was quite entertaining. So yes, these were the first 3 stories that I started with the Third Doctor, and I really do like all of these because they're really good. They're just now, with watching them more, I have discovered that there's so many good Third Doctor stories. Watching the Sea Devils, he has the sonic screwdriver, and boom, I loved it. Even though with kind of corny, but it was still good. The costume design was good, even though you have those weird nice effects. The costumes, they're not as corny as you think they would be, or cheesy, except for Green Death, which I did watch later on with that green screen, because that was one of the first times. Don't get me started on that. But overall, I really do love the Third Doctor now, and he's definitely grown on me as much as Pat Troughton. He's grown on me, and I can't wait to watch more of his stories, because the Third Doctor is really good, and John Pertwee gives it his all. So, tell me what your thoughts on these 3 stories, the Carnival Monsters, the Time Warrior, and the 3 Doctors are, and tell us in the comments. Bye, everyone.